So people probably already know how TikTok is going to be taken down the day after the inauguration or the day of it because they didn't divest from ByteDance. So isn't that timing interesting? So I don't really care. I a couple years ago did care and I fought for TikTok, but in the last year they've become just like all the other platforms. So to me, I really don't care if they end up going away. Because the one thing that was nice about TikTok was even though they would take you down, they allowed you to gain followers. They didn't do a lot of shadow banning. Sometimes they would. Now, the past year, they're no different than Facebook, X, no different than YouTube. They do the same thing. So to me, it's like, oh well, because when you were original and different than everybody else, then you were worth fighting for. But so if they go down, oh well. But they're going to try to shut everything down, I believe. The past 2 hours, I can't get on my Rumble channel. Don't know why. I'm able to get on the internet, but not Rumble. But then I've done several videos calling out Elon Musk. So that would be why. So I'm going to say this because Donald Trump does stand with the average American man and woman. And he will be infuriated with the Patrick Bet-Davids, the Glenn Becks, the Breitbarts, because all of that, and there's many more, Charlie Kirk, because all of them pushed that Elon Musk is a free speech absolutist, and he is not. For 2 years, there's been plenty of conservatives that have been yelling and screaming, messaging Donald Trump or emailing him, saying, look, why is people saying this that are conservatives when he's shadow banning us? So, Trump knows what it's like to be removed. So when those people who claim they're conservatives or conservative outlets and they don't speak the truth about that and they know it because people have told them to and they just continue to push that Elon Musk is a free speech absolutist, then people are going to be pissed. If people are going to be pissed, they've messaged Donald Trump, they've emailed him, they've told him. So he knows it. So what he sees is that Patrick Bet-David, Glenn Beck, Megyn Kelly, Charlie Kirk, Breitbart, none of them want to say the truth. Instead, they say the opposite and they push that he's a free speech absolutist. So I guarantee you, because Donald Trump stands with the average man and woman, and that they showed their true colors. So that's not going to work out well for them. There's going to be an epic fall for many of these people. There is. They could, if they're conservative and they care about free speech, then they should have been speaking the truth because there's enough conservatives that have been being shadow banned by Musk for the past 2 years. So Donald Trump's going to stand with the people before he stands with any of them. They may think, no, we have an inside with Trump. Yeah, well, again, Trump says in his books he keeps his enemies close. The other thing is these drones in New York. I guess some people are on a lockdown. And these drones, they're not just you can see them very clearly, and it was on the mainstream media. And like an hour ago, people were posting, and you could see these drones clearly. They're like in a V formation, and so they're doing everything just to cause terror, and they will as we get closer to the inauguration, I believe. And then remember how Fauci told Donald Trump he would have a pandemic in his administration because Fauci has that psychic ability. Yeah, no, it's more like when you do gain of function research and then you accidentally release things. That's how it happens. But what happened prior to COVID, 2 months prior to COVID, was Event 201 in New York, which was a table exercise of a pandemic with a bat coronavirus. And then, lo and behold, there was COVID. Well, in 2022, they did another exercise, catastrophic contagion, a global challenge exercise, tabletop exercise, lessons from the exercise. So this says, leaders must prepare now to make difficult, critically important decisions with limited information in the early days of the next pandemic in order to increase the chances that a dangerous outbreak can be contained at the source. In the early days of a major new contagious disease epidemic, there could be a brief window of opportunity to stop it from becoming a pandemic. To successfully contain such an outbreak, decisive and bold action would need to be taken in the face of incomplete data, high scientific uncertainty, and potential political resistance. Thinking through such challenges, preparing in advance to react effectively, and practicing through both high-level tabletop and operational exercise should start now. It may seem like all these critical policy decisions have been resolved during COVID-19 pandemic, but they have not. In the catastrophic contagion simulation, even a group of some of the wisest and most experienced international public health leaders who lived through COVID-19 wrestled with opposing views on whether countries should impose travel restrictions or close schools to try to contain a serious new epidemic that was disproportionately affecting children. The exercise raised a pivotal question. If the future pandemics have a much higher lethality than COVID-19, or for example, if they affect predominantly children, would or should countries take different, stronger, earlier measures to contain it? And what are those measures? There is never anything that should suspend the Constitution, but this is what happens when you align with globalists at the UN. These are not purely public health and scientific decisions. They will be made by leaders in the context of political, economic, and social realities that can be anticipated and considered in advance. Through routine simulations and operational exercise, we can strategically prepare for the challenges ahead of time. The more effectively we can reach scientific and practical consensus on the best approach to very hard but foreseeable problems, the more we will be ready in the future to protect lives and national economies. Political leaders, in addition to health leaders, must be at the table during exercises to respond effectively during the next pandemic. You know, these people have failed because we have all these pandemics now. The people that have been heading up science shouldn't, because as we advance, as we get older in years, like as time goes on, we should have less of this, but now we have more, so they're failures. Countries should establish a global network of professional public health leaders who can work together to improve epidemic preparedness and response and strive for consensus on scientific issues in advance of the next major outbreak. There is no existing worldwide professionalized network of public health preparedness and response leaders who can work together between and during epidemics to better prepare all countries and provide mutual aid and sharing of best practices during serious epidemics. Establishing an international network of public health leaders alongside the lines of professionalized pandemic corps referred to in our exercise could substantially help countries save lives and livelihoods during major epidemics and recover more quickly. Political leaders who are entrusted with keeping their citizens safe could benefit from consensus views offered by such a group rather than having to make impromptu, high-consequence policy decisions when lives are at stake during dangerous outbreaks. Countries should prioritize efforts to increase trust in government and public health, improve public health communication efforts, increase the resiliency of populations to misleading information, coming from the misleaders, and reduce the spread of harmful misinformation. In future pandemics, we should continue to expect even more major disruptions from misinformation and disinformation. The WHO can be or should not expect to combat it alone or put a stop to the spread of mis and disinformation. Countries need to collaborate to anticipate that threat and prepare to combat it with their own laws and procedures. Just as many types of economic and societal harms can be anticipated and accounted for in pandemic preparedness plans, so too can predictable, false, or misleading health messaging. Concertedly exploring ways to address this phenomenon on a national level in advance of the next pandemic will be crucial to saving lives. It is clear from catastrophic contagion that even after the terrible impact of COVID-19, more preparedness work needs to be done, new decisions need to be made, and additional resources committed. Here we go again, playing their games. When we have more of this stuff going on, then it's clear the science doesn't know how to make things better. They only want to cause crisis and chaos.